As the match towards Russia 2018 World Cup hits up, PMI is here to provide all the fixtures and results. I'm yours sincerely, Joe Ehizode, presenting. And having the studio with me, Opone Yamabo. Opone Yamabo, welcome to the program. Thank you for having me. Before we go ahead, let me quickly give a rundown of all the fixtures in Europe, and then we'll go to Africa, and then perhaps South America. France and Bulgaria on Friday played, and France was at home. They beat Bulgaria 4-1. Sweden defeated Luxembourg 1-0 away. Netherlands beat Belarus 4-1 in Holland. Hungary and Switzerland beat Hungary 3-2 away. And Faroe and Latvia, Faroe Islands beat Latvia even when Latvia was playing at home. Portugal rounded up Andorra by 6 goals to nothing. Ronaldo answered the critics, scoring 4 goals in that match. And Belgium versus Bosnia-Herzegovina, Belgium beat Bosnia by 4 goals to 0. Greece beat Cyprus 2-0. And Estonia and Gibraltar, Estonia 4, Gibraltar 0. And before, as we're talking to you, Azerbaijan and Norway is playing. Armenia is taking on Romania. And Montenegro is taking on Kazakhstan. And England and Malta is playing. England is hosting Malta. Germany is hosting Czech Republic, which is a very big test for Germans. And Poland and Denmark is Poland is hosting Denmark, and Lithuania is away to Scotland, while Slovakia is away to Slovenia. That's Euro qualifying series. There's one match that's very remarkable. Brazil beat Bolivia 5 goals to nothing, and Lema's score was almost broken. It was broken, but I don't know if it will mend, as it's been said, because a lot of blood came out from that young man's head. And it brings me to another worrying aspect of South American football. You remember in the World Cup, Neymar was almost crippled by Zuniga of Colombia. This same guy. But the game as it is played in South America worries me, because it is not the way that football is played in Europe and everywhere that is played in South America. The game is rough. The game is absolutely killing, and the players are not protected. I must say something about the referees. Whether the referee have been instructed to do to play it that way, and I'm trying to say that it's not against the world norms of the way soccer is played. What do you think, opponent?
Thank you for having me in the studio today. I think if we look back in the 80s and the 90s, the South American players were going to Europe because they were going there to toughen up. Because we know the South American football is sexy football, fluidity. So they are sending their players to Europe to get them toughened up. That's why you see most of South American players were going to Europe. But now we are seeing a different trend in the game. What is happening now, the game is so brutal in South America that we don't even know where this is coming from.
The sexiness, the fluidity that you're talking about is totally absent right now.
Everything is gone. So we don't know where these things are coming from now. And mostly, if you look very well, those players that have left the shores of South America and go to Europe and come back, when those players come back, they're so badly treated. If you watch Argentina, when Argentina plays, how those players, when they play like South American tournaments, how they play against Messi, you say, is this football or what they are doing? So we don't really know if it's instruction from the Commonwealth Federation or it's from the referees. Like, why are they allowing things like that to go on, players unprotected? I don't understand. I think that's the difference between Europe and the rest of the world.
But can they sustain this internationally, especially like when they go to Olympics or World Cup? Would they keep this style or they will change?
That is up to them. But because you get to understand, I would say most teams are qualified from South America to the World Cup. Let's give and take. They must have at least 3 to 4 players playing in Europe. That is short.
So they can adjust when they go to the international scene.
Adjusting when you get to the international scene is different from when you play your local qualifying. It's so bad and ugly to see what they are doing, and nothing is being done about that. If you look at Europe, what is happening in Europe, everything is so organized. That's why when somebody plays good in Europe, he's rated, when a player is so good in Europe, he's almost rated as almost the best player.
Opponent, maybe to guide against this kind of trend, maybe FIFA should now begin to say there should be intercontinental refereeing. What I mean by that is that maybe European referee should go to South America, South America can go to Africa, Africa can go to Europe to referee. Because the game I watched during these past days, that's brutal. And I will not be surprised if somebody is killed in a short while.
Yeah, like what you say makes sense, but what he's saying is already on in Asia, because when I was in Asia, for example, when two big teams are playing in Indonesia, they come to Malaysia and take referee from Malaysia. Sometimes when two big teams, rival teams, are playing in Singapore, they come to Malaysia and take referee from Malaysia to officiate, which means it's a neutral referee. It doesn't officiate as if it's a local game. It officiates as if it's an international game. So they have to play to that. So I think North America too have a long way to go, because what is happening in North America is no more
South America.
South America.
Because having been a constant follower of Premier League in Europe, Premier League in UK, and then La Liga and other Italian league, I feel very sorry for players in South America, because it's against what I call global norm, the way they are playing there.
Okay, look at it this way. Neymar will travel 10, 12 hours from Spain to Brazil to play a game. And you know it's far, 12 hours sitting in the plane. Now, when they go back there to play, after going through that battle, because they don't play football there, they don't play soccer there, it's a battle, it's a war. After going through that, when he goes back, think of the game, think of the jet lag, getting back. It took 24 hours of flight time. The football is going to play, if it's not 90 minutes, I'll take them to be another 4 hours of football, because that's not football, that's not soccer they're playing. When he goes back, you expect him to perform at the highest level. It's not easy.
But the surprise of it all is that the guy who brutalized Neymar never got a yellow card, not even a yellow card.
Yeah, because...
And there was a lot of blood.
Yeah, because if you look in South America, top players are not protected. And in Europe, top players are protected. Because it's the excitement that these top players bring that brings people, that makes people want to watch football. And if you don't protect these people, I'm not saying total, but if you don't protect them, at least give them something, then it takes the beauty of the game away from it. Okay,
so as it is, Uruguay is leading the table in South America, followed by Brazil, and then followed by the mighty Argentina and the other teams, and the Argentina is even 5th in that table. So, well, it goes to what we were saying before we came to the studio. Why? Because the big teams that you say, that we call the big teams, now you can be surprised that Argentina is 5th.
The perennial powerhouse.
It is 5th on the table, you know. But in Africa, let's go to Africa. Nigeria, Cameroon, Egypt, and Zambia is in the same team. And one of those teams will come out of that group. And this is unheard of before, because Nigeria, Egypt, and Cameroon are supposed to be the powerhouse of Africa. But they're in the same group.
Now, this is what happened. You know, it's seeding. It's called seeding. They seed these teams according to their performances. Now, Nigeria haven't made the last 2 Nations Cup. So you can be a top seed, right? Cameroon, when was the last time Cameroon won the African Nations Cup?
So they cannot be a top team.
It cannot be a top team. So what happened? You're not a top team. You're just like an average. You're now an average team. So that's how they're going to place you. So they don't care now. What they do, when the top teams are seeded, whatever goes, goes.
Well, African qualifying series, Ghana against Uganda. Ghana is taking on Uganda in Accra, and as a matter of fact, they might just finish a while ago. Ghana and Uganda 0-0. That's to show you the surprise of African teams. Gabon is at home to Morocco. Libya is away to Democratic Republic of Congo. Mali is away to Cote d'Ivoire. Burkina Faso is hosting South Africa. And Senegal is hosting Cape Verde. And Zambia is hosting the Super Eagles of Nigeria. You can see that it's not the former faces of what you call the big boys from Africa. Most of them might not be making an appearance in Russia 2018. How about that?
Yeah, let me say something. See, I want viewers to understand something here. Football or soccer is not just necessarily about the name anymore. It's one, you go about team and team spirit. Let's use Africa for example. You look at the smaller, non-known, I won't say smaller, but I would say
Like Cape Verde.
Yeah, not very popular soccer countries in Africa. They're all coming up. Why? You know why? Now, these countries send their players overseas too. A lot of these countries have players playing in France, in Portugal, all over Europe. And what happens? They bring in good coaches too, and these players want to learn. Now, when we talk about the perennial powerhouses in Africa, Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana, most of these countries think that they already arrive when they want to play the like smaller footballing nations in Africa. Oh, we'll beat them. But when they find out that those teams are more cohesive than they find it difficult to beat those teams. If you look at most of the World Cups, look like the under-17 female under-17 U17 that is going on now. If you watch most of these teams, look at like the European teams, some of the South American teams. You see, these teams are teams that they play more cohesively, not in terms of talent, not that they're more talented. If you look, the African teams are more talented, but most of these other countries could beat them because they are more cohesive. They play
have
together.
a kind of experience.
Yeah, they play together. So that's one big thing that people have to look at. You don't just think this is a powerhouse and they have to win. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's changed.
You can imagine a scenario where African powerhouses are not in the World Cup. A country like Cameroon, Nigeria, Egypt, it's not there. That's unthinkable.
Well, it's not unthinkable. You have to be good to be there. So if you're not there, which is you're not good enough.
Can that happen in South America, like Argentina not being in the World Cup?
Yeah, it can happen. You know, Brazil is the only country that have made it to all World Cups. Argentina have missed. So Brazil is the only country in the world that have made it to all World Cups. So what I'm saying is this game is changing.
And from African countries, there's what we call the youth development. But Nigeria doesn't have that. Like if you go to Europe, there's an army of Senegalese players in France and English Premiership. But okay, where are the superstars?
What you're saying now, you're going to you're trying to fuel a fire that has not been quenched. That's why you're going to. By saying they have an academy or they have this. The academies they have in Nigeria are all ex-players that own those academies. And what are those academies? Well, it's a money-bringing academy.
That's what I'm saying. Nigeria does not have a kind of academic teams that will feed the national team.
No, those ones I say they're all owned by ex-players. All it's a money-making machine.
Just to sell them cheap and make money.
So that's all they do. That's why we're having problems. You hardly see people growing from this U17 to under 21 to the senior national team.
You got it right, Bikopone, because as a reporter in Nigeria, I found players not spending 3 seasons in Nigerian Soccer League before going to Europe. And in those days, remember that scouts come to Nigeria to pick players. But these days, Nigerian players are playing in Sudan, Malta, all because they are sold cheap. They don't even know where their direction is before being sold to international market.
Yeah, in my time when I played, I didn't play for the national team, but I know that in my time when I was playing, for anybody that plays for the national team, that goes to the national team and come back, when he comes back to the club level, his level is different. You can see it, you can say, no, this guy's game is different. But now, somebody goes to the national team, we can say, okay, maybe they just call it a national team. 2 days before, he's gone.
And for purpose of our viewers, I can name it in front of my fingers. Guavoin left Nigerian Rubber Board for Lokeren. Amokachi left Rancha Bees for Belgium. Olise left for Brooks. Olise left Julius Berger for
he was in Europe.
In Europe.
He played for
Finidi George and Kanu Mako was picked from Iwanyewu National and Sharks straight to Ajax. So those were the good days. And now Nigerian teams are sold to teams in the Republic of Benin, Sudan, and as a matter of fact, Malta, to name the list. And that does not augur well for the national team. Again, as a matter of fact, opponent, Coach Amadou Shuaib said this in 2011, that Nigeria do not have stars, does not have star players. And people thought he was joking. I thought I begin to believe what he said. Because Nigeria we don't have players anymore.
I'm sorry to cut you off. A lot of Nigerians have been complaining we are not winning. I always say we don't have the materials to win. And people say, oh, why do you criticize players? I say, I'm not criticizing
players. We are talking now,
as
we are talking now, the best player out of Nigeria is Mikel Obi. And he's not making the Chelsea national team.
He doesn't play first team football.
Well, that shows how bad it is.
He doesn't play first team football.
Okay.
And Nigerian best player for the past 12 years was Vincent Iyama, our goalkeeper. And how long will your best player, a goalkeeper, carry you before everything starts going down the drain? That is our biggest problem. We don't have an African player as our best player. We have a goalkeeper who have retired, and look at what is happening.
Somebody is telling me that hope is rising because Kelechi Iheanacho, Iwobi, and Isaac Success is coming up. But is that a sign that Nigeria is counting on 3 players that are coming up to give us a ray of hope? Well, Opone, it boils down to what you have always said. Restructuring, genuine people with genuine interests should come up and lead Nigerian sports out of the doldrums. Without that, 2018 is a hard shot. Don't you think so?
It is, but only time can tell.
Well, we'll leave it at that, on that very hopeless note, because we are here to tell the truth. My name is Joe Ehizode. Let me quickly thank you for coming to the program, and I will see you again. Have a good night.